Hey everyone, it's Mariana. Sorry you haven't seen me in your feed for a couple of weeks, but I am definitely back now. I have a bunch of videos coming up for you guys, and today, of course, let's talk about Rogue One, a Star Wars story. And by the way, this video is going to start off with a quick non-spoiler review, then I'm going to give my rating, and after that, we're going to talk some spoilers because I think most of you have either seen the movie last night or today or are seeing it this weekend, so it's spoiler talk time, but I'm definitely going to warn you when that's about to happen in case you don't want any spoilers. So Rogue One is the first film in the Star Wars anthology series. It takes place between episodes 3 and 4, and it follows a group of rebels who are on a mission to steal the plans for the Death Star. This movie is directed by Gareth Edwards, who also directed the 2014 Godzilla, and it has a pretty impressive cast, which I am not going to list because I'm definitely going to forget somebody, and I'm pretty sure we all know who's in this movie after seeing the trailers a million times. So Rogue One turned out to be a pretty good movie, even though they had tons of reshoots. I honestly couldn't tell where the reshoots actually happened inside the movie. I have seen a range of emotions on social media about Rogue One, from people saying this is 5 out of 5, amazing, best movie of the year, one of the best Star Wars films, to people who say this is the worst Star Wars film. I am in neither of those camps, I have to say. I definitely liked it. I thought it was enjoyable, but I also didn't think it was great or mind-blowing. Let's talk about the good stuff first. I thought it was visually interesting. It definitely fits into the whole Star Wars universe aesthetic while also establishing its own kind of grittier look and feel, because it does focus on the rebels a lot, but it does have that classic Star Wars imagery in it as well, as you can tell from the trailers. The action is really well done, particularly the last 30 minutes are pretty excellent. My favorite characters were, ironically, the droid K2SO. He was funny, he just told it how it is, and he had quite a bit of personality. And Donnie Yen's character, he just has such a strong and positive screen presence. His fighting style was so much fun to watch. His personality and attitude were quite different in tone from everybody else, and I was just rooting for him the entire time. Maybe some of it has to do with me discovering my love for Donnie Yen recently through other movies, but we're not going to talk about that. Also, Darth Vader has a pretty awesome scene in Rogue One. I wish there was more of him in the movie in general, but there is some exciting Darth Vader stuff. And that brings me to my biggest issue with this movie, the lack of character depth and development. And I'm not talking about this compared to a drama film or something. I'm talking about this compared to other Star Wars films. See, the problem is that when you have seen the original trilogy, which most people have seen it, or at least episode 4, you have a pretty good idea about how this film is going to turn out. So the characters should have carried Rogue One, because the plot was never going to. Rogue One gave us character traits and character types, but it never really made me care about the journey of these characters, how it makes them grow, or how it makes them stick to their principles or anything like that. Some of this movie felt like it was just getting characters from point A to point B on schedule because we needed to get them to point C, and I have never felt that way about the original trilogy or about The Force Awakens. The only character that gets some kind of development is the lead character, Jyn Erso, played by Felicity Jones, which makes sense, but there were so many other characters who could have gotten more, and they just got underused, and so many actors got underused. It really is sad. Also, I do have to say the pacing wasn't really as great as it could have been. I can't really say it dragged in the middle, but it definitely felt like it's just getting to those last 30 minutes. And the last 30 minutes, as I mentioned, were excellent, but the build-up itself just wasn't as engaging as it should have been, in my opinion. In the end, I think if you're a casual Star Wars fan, if you are a hardcore Star Wars fan, this is a movie you want to see in theaters. You're not going to miss Rogue One and just watch it later on Blu-ray. I mean, maybe some people will, but I think you should definitely go see it in theaters, and it was definitely fun to watch. I definitely enjoyed it. I just want to make that clear before I give this movie 3.5 out of 5 stars. I just can't get it to 4 because I didn't think it was great, and I know I'm gonna get a bunch of dislikes for this, but I have to be honest with you. I will probably see it again when it's available on something like HBO Now, but I doubt I'll be adding this to my Blu-ray collection. I do have to say though, I definitely liked it more than either of the prequels, but I can't say that I liked it more than the original trilogy or The Force Awakens. And if you want to see the specifics of my Star Wars rankings, I will have a post up on my blog and you can see what my top 5 is, as well as there's going to be a link to my Letterboxd list that's going to have all of these movies ranked. All right, let's get into spoilers now. So let's start at the end. Spoilers for the ending of this movie, I guess, which aren't really spoilers because I think a lot of us had a feeling this was going to happen, but everybody dies. That happened in Rogue One. I have to say, I was hoping some people were going to stick around. I know we don't see any of these characters in the future movies, but maybe they moved to another planet and they're living I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but I was hoping at least somebody was going to survive. But no, everybody is gone. It got pretty dark towards the end, in my opinion, and I did like that. I like that this movie had the guts to go dark and just kill off everybody. I mean, they all died doing what they wanted to do, so I guess that's a good thing. While this video is getting dark now, I'm just going to get off this topic. Let me know if you thought that any of these characters were going to survive in the end, or if you just thought that all of them were going to die from the very beginning. Now, I did mention in my non-spoiler section that I didn't really feel particularly connected to any of the characters, and ironically, the moment where I felt the most emotional, well, there were 2 moments, but one of them is pretty ironic because it has to do with the droid and him kind of trying to help and trying to fight until the very end, until he is destroyed. I was getting pretty emotional about that, and I don't know what it says about this movie that the most relatable character is actually a droid, but either way, K2SO was awesome. Alan Tudyk did such a great job with him, and I thought that final scene with him was fantastic. The other emotional moment for me was Jyn watching the hologram message from her father. I thought that was some of the best acting in the film, and it really actually gave you insight into her character. The movie let you see her gradually kind of break down and really accept that her father is out there, but then the harder truth is that he is being forced to help the Empire, and he is doing his best to try to help destroy them. At the same time, he's definitely a tragic character, which is why I am upset that they once again underused Mads Mikkelsen. Mads Mikkelsen being underused in movies is a thing now, and him dying is a thing too, because he is the new Sean Bean, apparently. I really do wish they gave him more screen time. I think they could have done some really interesting things with his character, and he definitely felt like there was way more to him than what was on screen. And that brings me to my next question for you guys is, do people who have read books and perhaps watched the expanded universe stuff get more out of this movie than somebody who's more of a casual fan like me, who's only seen the 7 main movies before this one? Because I definitely felt at multiple points in this film that there is more to it that I'm just missing because I'm not familiar with the books or the comics or whatever else. And I don't think that should be a requirement to enjoy the movie. So that's kind of my beef with it as well, because it did feel like there's more to it that I'm just missing entirely because I'm unfamiliar. But let me know if that's true or not, and let me know if you guys think that a movie should require homework, because I don't think it should. What I find interesting though is that people have complained about The Force Awakens being too reliant on nostalgia, and I have complained about that a little bit as well, more on the borrowing side than on the nostalgia side, but still, that criticism of The Force Awakens exists, and I keep bringing up The Force Awakens because it's the most recent Star Wars movie, but they say that Rogue One doesn't have that issue, and I just don't see how it doesn't, because I'm pretty sure if somebody who is brand new to Star Wars walked into Rogue One, they would be severely confused, and there would be some characters and some references that they just wouldn't know what to do with, because you do have to know something about the universe. Even the ending itself with Leia, somebody who is not familiar with Star Wars movies wouldn't know, why is this even significant and who is this person? And yet the audience was applauding because they saw familiar characters. So saying that Rogue One doesn't rely on nostalgia, I feel like is a little bit untrue. Speaking of Leia, there were 2 CGI people in this movie, and you could kind of tell they were CGI people, but they looked pretty good, and I don't particularly know how I feel about this trend. I did like the Leia bit because I felt like they connected it to A New Hope, and she was only there for a few seconds, and it looked pretty good, but I thought it was kind of necessary. But then the Tarkin bit, I don't really like this trend because I feel like we're gonna start seeing more and more of this, and I enjoy seeing actual people act. Am I crazy? I would have rather seen them cast somebody like Charles Dance, aka Tywin Lannister from Game of Thrones, who looks quite a bit like the actor, than seeing a CGI character that really kind of bothered me. And the more I think about it, the more it bothers me, because I didn't think that was necessary, and I get why they did it, but he had quite a bit of dialogue. He had a few scenes, so it wasn't just a shot of that. I do have to talk about Darth Vader again, because that scene with him just slicing through people towards the end with his lightsaber was so much fun and so evil. I loved it. And it did come out of nowhere a little bit, just because there wasn't enough Darth Vader in this movie, and suddenly he comes out and he's slicing through people. But once again, since we know the character already, and that's coming back to the nostalgia thing again, you really kind of don't need an explanation as to why he's doing the thing that he's doing. And the other scene with him was pretty cool as well, but I feel like we all would have been happier seeing more Darth Vader in this movie, and I think they could have found a way to write more of him into this, or just removed some characters and gave him more screen time, but that didn't happen. But it was still great to see him. Another character that I would have loved to see more of was Forrest Whitaker's character. He was once again the type of character that I felt had a lot more going on behind the scenes than the movie actually showed, kind of like Mads Mikkelsen's character. Do you see where I'm getting at here? I really enjoyed the bits that we did get to see, but I thought they were just over too quickly, and that's kind of how this movie was teasing me the whole time. It kept showing me things where I would get excited about the story arc that's potentially there, but then it kind of didn't really go anywhere because we had to stick to the structure and get us to the end of the movie, which, you know, wasn't really that big of a deal, considering that we all knew how it was going to end, and that they were going to get the plans, and that Leia was going to... we know what's happening. So I do wish they developed characters a bit more and focused less on the story and less on the action and more on the getting there part and more on the characters, but Rogue One is the movie we got, and it's a pretty good one. I'm not going to lie, I still had tons of fun watching it. That's it for my review of Rogue One. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, even though some of you may disagree with what I'm saying. I think we can all be adults about this and realize that this is all just personal opinions. I would love to talk to you guys in the comments below and discuss all of the things about this movie. How many times are you planning to see it? What were your favorite parts? What were your least favorite parts? How do you feel about this whole concept of Star Wars anthology films? Everything. Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. As I mentioned earlier, I have a bunch of videos coming your way very soon. There are some book reviews, some movie reviews, some discussion videos, some Westworld conversation. There are things that are coming your way. I promise. I'm back to making videos, and I hope you guys enjoy them. I hope you're having an awesome day, and I'll see you soon in my next video. Bye!